name's Pat Alper. I've been a mentor in inner city schools for the last 13 years with a program that teaches entrepreneurship. And quite often the students come up with arts ideas. And I want to tell you a little story about Sakithia, who was torn between a business and salmon or in poetry. And she decided on poetry, and we mentored her. And she went to her church and got a rhythm bass underneath her spoken word.
And what city is this? Is this city or?
DC. So anyway, we pushed her because she had to write a business plan about this, and she had to stand up and defend it. We pushed her to sell some of her new CDs, and she went to a coffee jam, and she sold 200 of them at $10 a piece. So she's learning math, she's creating she's getting grit, and it's applied to real life. So it's kind of an interesting back-ended approach.
As long as she had the mentorship to give her those tools.
That's my question to you, is how do you all feel about the value of mentorship in this process to get to the grit, to get to...
My sense is it's totally essential. I got to spend some time at NOCA, the Performing Arts Academy in New Orleans, and they've got incredible statistics on graduation rates and graduation from college. The school costs $5 million a year to run, and they average $12 million a year in scholarships for their seniors every year. So very, very, very impressive place. And their model is basically, you've got a mentor. That most of the teachers there are working artists themselves. They teach part-time. And so it very much is the mentor-based model. They show you how to do art by having you watch artists actually do it, by learning from people who are in the midst of doing it. And of course, when you spend time there, they know that most of their graduates won't go on to become artists. As Damian pointed out, it's 0.1% of even in a place like NOCA, it's still not going to be, what most people end up doing. And yet, what Kyle Wedberg, who's the CEO of NOCA, what he argues is that they still come away with these core skills. That because they've seen people work hard, they've got models, they've got exemplars, they've developed grit, they've developed these non-cognitive skills. And they come away with this procedural memory. So even if they forget most of the details, they forget their art history lessons, they still come away with these habits of mind. They know how to work hard. They know what it takes to get good at something. They've learned how to take risks. You walk into many classrooms at NOCA, and you see the same banner above a lot of the classrooms, which is fail big. So they've learned these habits, which the school argues are essential in all sorts of different domains, not just in these narrow domains of performing arts.
That's a huge point about risk. That word hasn't been mentioned yet. But risk is an essential component of creativity, and it's taking a chance. I'm going to do something that is new. And that is a risk in itself, and that goes to the China question that we talked about earlier, and it just goes to a general mentality issue that you can be, daring enough, and not everybody is taking the big risks. It's simply about having a mentality that that's something you've tried, something that you're familiar with that feeling, and make peace with it, which I think is tremendously valuable for learning.
Yeah, one quick point about mentoring, which I don't think is sufficiently appreciated and will become more important at our time, and that mentoring is a two-way thing. And the mentor gets something from the mentee, and there's often a mutual recognition. In the old days, maybe even in the Totenberg days, but let's call it the pre-Totenberg days, the master did it this way and you just followed or you were kicked out. That's not the way it's going to be in the future. There were too many other options of ways to connect to people. But it's when you have that mutual recognition and that mutual reward that the thing is really, really terrific.